afternoon, everybody. It's lovely to be here. So now's my turn. Thank you. So this is me. I think I was probably aged about 7 or 8. I think it might have been one of my first school photos, but I'm not entirely sure. So as Florence said, it's a privilege for me to be here today, and I really appreciate Florence inviting me to speak to you, because I think I stand here because of individuals like you, and as I talk this afternoon, you'll realise it's not just lip service that I'm paying, I really do mean it. And I don't know whether any of you saw this documentary a few weeks ago. When this was advertised earlier on in the year, it really resonated with me, because the white nanny, black child was my story. It is my story. These are some of the children that Mavis and Raymond fostered. And if you're not quite sure which one is me, it's that one there. It's because it was a very small town. In our school, we were the only black children. So people would know, oh, you belong to Mavis and Raymond. And that's how it was. And we didn't see ourselves as any different. I personally didn't experience any racism. I didn't see myself as any different because I wasn't made to feel different. But I went to that school very happy. But when I came home, it was just me. My dad was often at work, so I was often on my own. And so it got to the point just after my 16th birthday when that emotional toil was too much. But this was when two very important individuals came into my life, and this is why I say those who are social workers and work in social care are so important. Because one of the key people that came into my life at that point in time was my social worker. I can't remember her name, I blame my age, okay? Can't remember her name, but I remember that she was really important to me. And this social worker let me stay in a total stranger's house for a couple of nights. Now that would never happen in this day and age. You'd probably lose your job if you let a child stay in somebody's house. But this was the early 90s, they didn't have that much thing going on then. But what was important was that she made a decision that was right for me. And I don't know what strings she had to pull, which managers she had to talk to, who she had to convince that this was the right decision, but she decided that actually for me to stay at this semi-stranger's house was better for me emotionally than going back home. And I decided, well, I think maybe I should go to university. Nobody had told me that. Nobody said this is what you should do next. It's just something I thought I should do. I applied for a business studies course at South Bank University. But when I applied, I don't know if I applied too late because they didn't have any spaces. So they put me on a course called a Bachelor of Science in Technology Management. I have never since seen that course advertised anywhere. But I learned about iron pilings and Japanese manufacturing. So if anybody wants to know about either of those topics, I am your person. During that time I started working with my daughter, volunteering in my daughter's preschool. And I thought, I quite like this, I quite like working with children. And so then I got a job as a learning support assistant at Torridon Primary School. And I thought, well, I quite like doing this. So I decided to apply for a teaching qualification because I thought, well, you look like you're having fun, so I think I'll join the team as well. And I did say this morning, and Matthew and Barbara aren't here, but Florence still applies. I didn't go into teaching because I wanted to change the world. Okay, lots of teachers, why did you go into teaching? Because I wanted to impact children's lives. No, I went into teaching for the holidays. That is the honest truth. And this is where I understood how my experiences could benefit the children I was working with. Because it was in Canning Town, a very deprived area of East London. And a lot of the children in the school were going through similar or worse things than I'd been through. And so I knew what they needed. And for me, although I've kind of been through everything, I recognised that actually sometimes you go through things for somebody else. But I thought, actually, what's stopping me? And what was stopping me was just fear. And that's what stops me from applying for headship prior to that. And then one day I met a friend of mine, Violet, who was a head teacher in Canning Town, and she inspired me to make me think, actually, why can't I do it? What's stopping me? So I applied for my first headship. I may never meet her again. And she may never know the real impact that she's made on my life. But her impact is lifelong. And she has left a indelible imprint on my life. Because it's somebody that cared for me, it's somebody that made decisions that were right for me at that point in my life. And I think as educators, as those that work with children, sometimes we have to make difficult decisions. And you may never know the impact that you make on those young people that you work with, but I can guarantee you, as somebody standing here today, you make a difference. And the work that you do, though it's hard and though sometimes you may not get thanked for it, and although we may not verbalise it like Gillian Keegan did, we know that sometimes people might not appreciate the work that we do. We know that we are appreciated by those young people that we work with. I've got the most amazing staff team. I've got the most amazing parents, I've got the most amazing governing body, and I couldn't do my job without them. And sometimes we need to recognise it as those around us that will help to make our jobs that much easier. And the people that I have around me now are so important. There's my husband and my daughter, and that's me in the middle just in case you weren't sure. These are my best friends in the world. Some of these have been with me since I was about 20, and they've really been there for me. And these are the people that I'm now training with because I'm trained to be a psychotherapist. And it's since training to be a psychotherapist that I've understood my own emotions. And sometimes it takes this long to get to grips with what's happening inside of you. And so for some of you that work with these young people who don't have those emotions and don't seem to speak and seem to be very angry all the time and seem to just be really, really annoying, it's not that they're really, sometimes it is because they're really annoying, but sometimes it's just because there's so much that's going on deep down. And somebody just needs to take the time and show they care. And that's what my social worker did for me. And so they've made me into somebody who actually believes I can do anything. They've made me into somebody I think, actually, what would stop me from doing that? And so the number of things that I've done over the past few years, I've not done my masters, I've set up a head teachers group, I've published 4 books, I do a lot of work within the borough of Greenwich. I do things because I want to make a difference. I do things because I see the impact that's been made on me by somebody who took the time, and now it's about paying it forward. Now it's about making sure that I'm able to make a difference in somebody else's life, whether that's the children that I work with on a daily basis or the adults that I interact with. That, I feel, is the legacy that I want to leave.